All right. So we're going to look at CSS syntax in this video. Okay. So there are actually three main parts of CSS. Three main parts of every CSS, and that's the selectors, properties, and values. So selectors, they are the element being selected. Properties, the aspects of the element being styled, and value, the style being applied. These are three different things, so don't get confused about them. It's yeah, we'll see them practically, no worries. Okay, so this actually explains how CSS looks like and the three parts. So the first part is selector. Selector means the, will I say, the tag or whatever you are selecting, the element you are selecting. If it's h1, that will be h1. If it's table will be the selector. If it's form will be the selector. So ever you are selecting, whatever stuff you are selecting, it will be the selector. Then property is what you are adding. It's what is the element you want to style, right? It's the element that has been styled. So for instance, for an HTML, what do you want to style? Do you want to style the font? That's the property. Do you want to style, is the font size too small? You want to make it big? So this will be fonts, right? What else do they style? If you want to change the display type, you want to change the change how it is placed, you get. So there are various ways, various properties you can add to an element. So color is just one of them. So value is the value you want to attach. For font, if it's font, you have to give it its pixel, maybe 10 pixel, 12 pixel, 20 pixel. If it's padding, you want to give it padding, then you need to, it's also in pixel. If you want to change the display, there are different ways to display your stuff. Position, there are different position value you can add to a position property. So there are a host of so many things. You get familiar with them over time, but this is just the template. This is how CSS is being displayed, and the three parts of it. Every CSS has these three parts. There must be a selector, there must be a property, and there must be a value, right? So that's that. So let's look at selectors a bit. In order to apply styling rules to HTML, we have to know which element you want to apply it to. You have to know what you're applying your CSS to now, right? So if looking at this, you can pick H1. If H1 is what you want to style, you pick this. This is your selector, or P or A. Yeah, anchor tag. You can pick A from this place and style it. So that's just pre-selectors. You can select element for of the certain types, P, div. You can also select div. You can select div and say you want to style all the divs, right? Then, or you can apply a class or ID. So classes are what you will go into very soon. Classes are what you can attach to a particular element, a particular tag, and you style it, right? So yeah, you can give it different name. ID can be given name and all of that. So we apply selectors to HTML tag in form of attributes. So we touched on attributes in HTML, but we didn't go in depth. If you can remember, or you can go back to one of the first videos, I think the second video for last week, you'll see where I talked about attributes and how it's been added to the opening tag. Yeah, I remember I said that. So that's the way to apply selectors to HTML tags in form of an attribute. Okay. So from list to most specific, here are the main types of selectors. Universal selectors, it selects all the elements. Type selectors target elements by HTML tag. Then CSS selectors, sorry, class selectors, attribute selectors, targets by class attributes respectively. ID selectors targets by ID. So these are all the types of selectors we have, and we are going to explain them, right? So this is a universal selector. What this does is it selects everything on the page. So whatever I put on this at what is this star button, or I don't know. I think it's called star icon, or yeah, it's called the universal selector. So if I use this, for instance, everything inside this web page will be affected. Everything inside here, this body, will be affected. Not just the body, everything will be affected. So tag is a type selector. Okay. That's HTML tag, right? So what are HTML tag? For instance, we have um table is an HTML tag, div is an HTML tag. Anything here, all these are HTML tags, right? So let's see. So for instance, if I take div, for instance, this is one div. This entire thing here is one div. So to this point is one div. There's another div here. From here to here is another div. From here to here is another div. So if I take div as a selector and I style it, everything inside div will be affected. You get. So we'll do all these things practically. Then yeah, it's our pseudo. Let's not touch that. So the next is class selector. Classes can be added. For instance, I can add a class here. Let's come here. Okay, so I can decide to add the class here as an attribute to this opening. Class is equal to let's say top. So this is what I will style. I'll not need to style. So what this does is once I style this, it will affect only this div, because this is what I'll collect. I'll collect just top. I'm not if I take div for instance, to affect both this div, this other div, and all the divs here will be affected by the styling that we add to div. But if I just want to select just this div, then I will add the class to it, right? So we'll do this practically. I know some of you are some kind of confused, but it will make sense. So ID selectors, yeah. So this one is, so for class selectors, you have to add the dots to it. Very important. Why for ID, you have to add hash button to it when you want to style it in CSS. But for the others, for the tags, just put it like if it's table, just type table and style, right? Okay. I think that explains it for the types of selectors. So we're looking at properties next.